Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Behind the Group podcast. I am DJ Keo.
And I am Basil Barrington, and we are back. Star Trek Picard, the final season, episode number 10, The Last Generation. IMDb gave it a 9.6. What do you think about that?
10.5 is my rating. I give it above a 10. This is 10.5.
Dude, this joint was fire. It was fire.
Yeah.
You know what? And I was
Yeah.
just telling you offline, my eyes welled up 2 different times in this episode, right?
Yeah, it hit me, man. There's a couple parts, yeah.
And here's the thing, right? This episode was 2 episodes. Think about it. We had the battle that lasted about 42, 45 minutes. Then at the 45-minute mark, something totally different. It felt like a totally different show started, right? And I was like,
it's like the season 4 started.
Right. And it literally did, just based on how the show ended and everything. But dude, this man, like I said, like Terry Mateus, man, he put his foot into this joint.
Yeah, he got me in the feels. I was looking like I remember this stuff as a kid watching this thing. Like it was very emotional watching this. And you know what other thing too is that had somebody, like, spoilers, they had somebody died, I would have been like, they earned this. They earned this death.
Yeah.
Like Worf said it, like, this is a good time to die.
As
Warrior's death.
exactly.
I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
If anybody didn't make it off of this ship or during the battle, I would have been like, you know what, they earned this. And I'm a mourned it. Like it was solid. Like emotionally, it was there. And the music, they were killing with the soundtrack, man.
In Discovery, Star Trek Discovery, the entire Federation, the galaxy was destroyed, almost destroyed, based on this thing called a burn, right? And it was just basically dilithium exploded all over the galaxy, right?
Everywhere,
right? And then you have this here, Star Trek Picard, the final season, and they were talking about the Borg and how this queen, the Queen Borg, how she survived. She basically cannibalized the old Borg.
That was crazy.
Just to survive.
She was deformed and crazy. Yeah.
And so that was the person who was visiting Vadic, right?
Yeah. The person they're talking to. Yeah. It's like it's very interesting the concepts they took away from the TV shows and the movies to put into this thing. Because the Borg was basically done for. It was a wrap. They annihilated the whole thing, and she's hanging on by a thread. And they were lucky enough to get Jack to come there. If Jack never went there, I don't think this would be even possible. They probably would have died off, and it would have been done for. They needed Jack to get to the ship. So it was interesting. Like the way this show was crafted, it did enough fan service. So the people from the original shows, they all got that little bit of why they love Star Trek, but it also told a compelling story. Like when Picard got on the ship, he's like, "Hey, I'm no longer a captain anymore. This is about my son." I was like, "Oh, man, that hurt. That hurt." And especially when when he thought it was over, he just said screw it. I'm just gonna hug my son in this virtual universe, or whatever, and we're gonna go out together. And I would bang. That was crazy. There's so much parts of this show, this last show, and even the series that it tugged on you emotionally, and it's good writing.
I mean, the fact that they gave Beverly Crusher the last decision to blow up the Borg ship with Picard and her son on it. She already lost Wesley Crusher, right? So it was up to her, and she agreed to it. She was like, "Okay, am I going to save just my son and everything else is destroyed, or am I going to destroy, kill my son and then the entire galaxy or Starfleet or the Federation is saved?" Man, that was a hard decision.
That's a rough. This is the acting. She killed it. She killed it.
It's so crazy because you had you had all of Starfleet that was just
you're wrecking
pounding. they were just wrecking, right? And then like Seven and Raffi came up and they were like, they devised the plan, let's cloak the ship, which was really smart because once you cloak it, then it was disconnected from the collective. That was pretty cool. But also the collective figured that out, and LaForge and her crew sort of like, yes, exactly, and then you just have so many things going on. With this episode had the same thing as every other episode. Subplots all over the place that all eventually came together towards the end. Dude, like subplots. You had two people working in tandem. It was well done, Again, this joint was fire. It's like complete fire. It's just like I can't understand why you can't have a show like this when it comes to something like a Mandalorian. We keep comparing the two, but I think
it's
we're
not
comparing
fair, man.
the two.
It's a terrible comparison.
Yeah,
it's not fair.
I know, but right, but we were also saying that like when the Mandalorian dropped the first season in the lockdown, everyone was excited the whole nine. Then it just like fell off. Picard fell off the first 2 seasons, came back with this here, and wow, it's just like all the different subplots was just everything, and then Data with like his humanness too. Data just I like this new Data. What do you think?
I do. I like Data. Data's always one of my favorite characters on the show. Like everybody liked Data, but like this is what I'm saying. Crafting solid storylines where everybody got their hero moment. Crusher, she got her hero moment. She had to press the button to end her son, which is insane. LaForge, everybody got their hero moment that they did. So it made it so like you were invested in everybody all together equally. Like a lot of these shows, like there's one person you care about and you can care less about the miscellaneous minor characters. Like Cindy LaForge, I was like, oh my God, don't let her die. Like, this is not fair. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're worried about everybody equally. And that's a testament to like good planning, proper story writing. And like to me, the show, it seemed like they filmed it all together and they made this thing like as a mission to make a good thing for everybody. Fans of Star Trek, people who don't know Star Trek, everybody can get a quality show. It should have been like 3 movies, to be honest. This could easily been 3 movies. But like everybody got their thing. And that's quality writing right there. And it's a testament to having showrunners who care about the subject matter. And it didn't seem like they had merchandising. They're just trying to sell some spaceships or whatever. It seemed like we have a limited time. Everybody's old as hell. Let's tell a really good story and a send off for this generation. And they did. Absolutely.
It's pretty dope, man. From like the beginning of this episode to the end, it was dope as anything. So you have LaForge, right? And LaForge, when she finally realized that okay, she wasn't like part of the collective, and I said this to you offline, like because Picard, he kind of like had memories of what he did as Locutus, right?
Yeah, he kind of knew. Yeah, he did know.
So he used to have like visions of like how he just killed a lot of people as Locutus, right? And so when LaForge came out of this whole collective thing with the Borg, she realized that she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that was my eyes welled up right there,
I was because they could see what they're doing, they just couldn't stop it.
Exactly, and the other crew members, the bridge crew members, they looked at each other as well, and they were like, "What did we just do?" Now, let me ask you this. Now, they did have something that brought them back into the transporter and removed, whatever the Borg implant they had, on like the Gen Zers, right? Do you think that like removing that from like their bodies, right? Do you think that they will still continue to have these memories of like how they were just Swiss cheesing people? You think so?
Yeah. I think it took out the gene that they could be a signal for the Borg. They removed that part of it, but yeah, I think for sure, like a lot of people can be in PTSD, they have issues about what they did because they're aware, they were awake when it was going on. They weren't like it was like a comatose or whatever, so they know exactly what they're doing. This was a tough one because they caused a lot of damage to Earth and the space station above them. Like it's like a lot of damage across the board. and it feels like they set up it set up the future of Star Trek in a really good way. Where I'm back in the Star Trek universe. I'm back. I'm like, I want to see more. Like I hope that Terry's involved in some capacity, because and let me ask you this:
What's up?
of all the things that happened on this show, does it seem like a travesty that we're not going to get an Enterprise show with 709?
Well, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't. First of all, right?
I
Okay,
would be like, yeah.
We don't know that because and I always thought that well, first of all, you were like Seven's going to be the captain. She is, and Raffi's going to be like the first officer, and then they have Jack as like the special counsel to the the captain, right? And so they're all on a bridge, right? And they also
like,
have the Forge.
Continue this story,
right? So and now it's not called the Titan; it's called the Enterprise G, right?
Yeah.
I think that this is going to. They will either appear in the next show if it's like Academy or whatever. They will appear in that frequently, or they may just have their own thing, make cameos here and there, or they may have their own show because. At the end of this episode, like when they rolled the credits, and then even when they showed this little clip of like Jack and like Q, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Like, so if Q basically said to Jack, like, well, the trial is over with him, but with you, it just started, right? So this is like, this is a show.
But here's the thing, though. Terry, I've seen Terry on Twitter, and he looks like, well, I did my job. I'll see you guys later. I'm working on the next project, something else. Now, if I was running Paramount right now, the first thing I would do before anything else is go sign this guy up to be a showrunner for another Star Trek show. That's the first thing I would do. I would listen, whatever you're doing, you're at a party, you're at a cocktail party, dude, get out of there and sign this guy to another show. Yeah. He's done the best job I've ever seen in the last 10, 15 years for Star Trek.
Listen.
By far, it's not even close.
And he was the executive producer on season 1 and season 2, so he's been part of the show. So he basically took it and said, you know what, I'm going to do it this way because we screwed up, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah, he did of all the people involved with Trek, like he's done the best job to get because here's the thing, right? For all the other shows, it has a different feel. Like it's Star Trek, but it has a different feel. He's done the best version of the classic, 1980, was it 86 or whenever Star Trek came out, Next Generation. He has that feel. Yep. That timeline and that feel down packed. He's done the best job to bring, because I know people that I watch online who hated all the Star Trek movies, the recent ones with Chris Pine. They hated the J.J. Abrams stuff. They hated them. They hated all the TV shows, and they were like, "We're back after this show. We're back. Whatever they got next, we're back." So, if you could switch people's minds like that, how are you not doing more Star Trek? I don't understand. This is a layup.
And the other thing is, they should back up the truck for this guy too. Just give him a bag. Like, listen, we want you here. We want you. Because he did a great job. Like I said, he put his foot in this thing, man. It's like this. And the other thing is this, right? Again, we know that something is going to pop off with Jack, with Seven, with Raffi. I mean, they basically said it at the end of the show. They were like,
but here's the thing, though.
What's up?
As the pulled the Zack Snyder and been like, hey, this is what I want to do, but these guys won't let me. So I'm just going to put this in the story and make the fans make this thing happen. Yeah. And that's possible too. Because I don't know. The way he was writing on Twitter, he's like, everyone's thanking him, saying he did a great job, but he was talking like, well, it's not in my hands now. It's up to you guys. That's how he was talking. It didn't seem like it's the official thing that he's running this next show.
Well, let's get on it. Fans
gotta get on this thing,
fans,
man.
Anyone watching, let's get on it. Let's go to Twitter. Let's hashtag oh boy. And let's make sure that, and also Paramount, and let's make sure that, they know that, hey, this guy did a bang, bang job. We want him back for something else. Ridiculous, for real.
Mean, he should, he don't even do the whole universe. The next the Enterprise show with 7 and 9, Raffi, Jack, and Sydney, do that. There you go. Boom. Problem solved. You don't have to wreck with all your future plans. Let this guy take over this one show and run it. And I guarantee that'll be the most watched show on Paramount Plus. Guaranteed.
You know what? I actually like Seven as a captain, and also Raffi as the as number one, and Jack too. These three people on a bridge.
It's a great contrast.
Because they're kind of rogue when it comes to stuff. They like Seven wants to do. She breaks a lot of rules and protocols and everything. She wants to do things herself, right? And she just doesn't take any mess. And Raffi is bad, man. Raffi doesn't play around. And Jack is an explorer. He wants to be as great as his father now that they have a relationship. That's the other cool thing. They brought the end of this brought the relationship between
they brought them together.
Picard,
they're tighter now.
Right.
Dude, I love this. I love it.
Yo, Keo, you know what? It would have been so easy to have Jack and also Picard killed off, even Worf and Riker.
I thought that. Listen, I thought that was going to happen, and I was shedding a tear internally because I was like, "Oh man, they're go out like kings here," but they didn't, and so I was relieved, but at the same time, I was like, they earned it. Just emotionally, they earned it, and it would be a great send off for them. So the fact that they're still here and they're not going to be used in a TV show, travesty, absolute travesty. Paramount, get on this.
I was listening to a podcast and they were interviewing Jonathan Frakes, Riker, and he basically said, "Well, no one's gonna die in the season finale." And I was like, "Oh!" And so when he said that, I was like, "It's even more interesting now because I want to know how these people aren't gonna die."
Yeah, how they get out. Yeah, I didn't know that at all. I didn't watch anything, any kind of spoilers, anything. I didn't watch anything. I went into it. And it hit more emotionally because of it. I'm glad I didn't see that podcast, to be honest.
Yeah,
I do like Jonathan Frakes, though.
Yeah, I mean he directed a lot of these shows, throughout the entire season, and he directs a lot of stuff in Discovery, and also and also Data, his real person. He also directs shows too, But
Brent Spiner.
Right, So what do you think about the Borg, and are the Borg finally destroyed? I'm gonna say yes.
So.
What do you think? Yeah,
I think the Borg are done, and I'm good with that as far as storyline. It's a tough story to tell because you've done a lot of it in Next Generation, and yet they've had some amazing stories. Plus, they had First Contact, the movie. The Borg is done. You need new adventures and new adversaries. So. I would like to see the Enterprise G go out somewhere distant and a different universe or whatever,
exactly,
and do some things.
That also means that the changelings are done too, because now they have new technology, with Crusher being in charge of the medical technology, whatever. So now they have exactly. So now they have technology where they can detect changelings. So they're done too. If you look at Star Trek Discovery, they meet, they go through new missions. They meet new nemesis. I mean, just different worlds, different species. I'm just all this stuff is brand new. It's totally brand new. So
yeah, but that's the thing I loved about Star Trek is that every episode was a different people or whatever, or a different a different fight or a different riddle you have to solve in space with your brain. It was a very cerebral kind of show, and this is the type of thing they need more of. You can't do action adventure blowing up ships every day. It's got to be first contact with the new species or whatever. You need a lot of that too, because that's the backbone of what Star Trek is. So I'm hoping that they kind of use that with these wild cards of these people here on the bridge. This is a good contrast.
It's a good contrast, and Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Pike is sort of, I'm not going to say timid, but he knows that he knows how he's going to die, right? So he tries to do everything in his power to prevent himself from dying that way, or at least to extend his life before he dies in this really horrific way, right? And it's kind of interesting because they go on these missions, but he's more of a diplomat. But if he needs to kick butt, he kicks butt. So that's the cool thing about all these different Star Trek franchises, with Discovery, with Strange New Worlds. I don't know what like Academy is going to look like. I don't know what Section 31 is going to look like. I don't know what Star Trek 4 the movie is going to look like. But they have so much that they can like just go off of.
Yeah.
And let me say this here. Let me ask you this question. We have Star Trek and we have Star Wars. Which franchise are you into right now?
Okay, I'm a bigger Star Wars fan than Star Trek. Although I've seen all the TV shows and all the movies, right now Star Trek is a brighter future because these guys they're trying to do something different, and like how you're talking about the different shows. So you have the Academy, you have Discovery, you have Brave New Worlds. Like there's each one of these shows is a different type of show.
Right.
And Star Wars is the same bumbling thing in different episodes and different shows. I don't want to see that.
Much. Yeah.
That's why we liked Andor so much, because it was different from what we've been getting. And I want, like, just how Voyager was different from Deep Space Nine, was different from Next Generation. I want that change. I want a different feel for each show. And if they can do something different, I'm all for it. But like, it's still got to feel like Star Trek. And that's the important part. It's got to have that.
I like the Bad Batch. I love the Bad Batch. Very compelling animated show. Dave Filoni put his foot in it, right? We love Andor, right? But then when you go to Star Trek, right? I think the franchise they're trying to build around is much more compelling right now than Star Trek, because what Star Trek is giving us, they're giving us just some of these characters we really don't know about, or you got to really do a deep dive into the entire franchise to find out, like Ahsoka Tano, right? It's just like a lot of people don't know about her unless you've watched the Clone Wars, right?
Yeah, you have to see the Clone Wars to care about her.
You have to like really, and she is throughout the entire 7 seasons of the Clone Wars, and also the Clone Wars animated movie as well, right? She's in that joint,
she's in the movie,
right? Yeah. So I don't know, man, but this was a great show, man. Let's wrap this up. Okay, so let's get 2 ratings here. We're gonna rate the episode and the season. So Star Trek Picard final season, episode number 10, and this is also the series finale as well. The episode was called The Last Generation. What are you going to rate the episode and also the show on, just generally speaking?
I said before, this episode is 10.5. I'm giving the series a 10.5 too. This is great, man. I love this series. Was so phenomenal. Like, it was to a point where I got excited. We're like, oh yes, Thursday's coming, so I can finally watch it. Like, I was excited. Like, yes, it's finally on TV. That's the thing. Like, there's not a lot of shows like that where you're like, because we're used to streaming whatever and you just get everything on one shot, whatever. There's very few shows on TV right now that I got excited that yes, the new episode's coming up to finally watch the new episode. That's a rarity for me.
Yeah.
And this is one of them. I'm like, I'm on board. Like, I couldn't wait for the episode. And because of that, top notch. Writing was excellent, acting was excellent. The delivery, the concepts, the bringing back the fan service with the different people from way back in different shows, and like closing storylines from 30 years ago, like insane. Like, everything about this I loved. I don't even have any nitpicks about this show. That's how good it was. I don't know, man.
None at all. I am going to give this show, the episode in the show, a 10 plus all around. You make a very good point. Everything was in place. I think the other thing they did really well is, and this is what Star Trek does that Star Wars does not do, or Disney for that matter, right? Yeah. They have, like I told you, they have this Ready Room with the companion podcast, right? And dude, that's like the community tab on YouTube, right? It's basically that. And you have the stars coming on talking about the episode. And I'm just like, so now, there's a level of community. There's a level of, oh, I like this star better, so I'm going to watch what they're saying on the Ready Room. And you had these things that came together to help you understand what you were watching during the episodes. Now, the other thing I was doing, I was so into this, I was waiting until 12:01 on 12:01 on Thursday, but it wasn't available yet. It was available at 3 a.m. So basically 12:01 East Pacific time. It was available at 3 a.m., East Coast time. So I was waiting until 3 a.m. to watch the episodes. So I would watch the episodes at 3 a.m. and then I will watch them again right before we would record the podcast. So I was watching these episodes twice in a day, right? And just everything just came into place. Nothing was boring. Nothing was. I mean, I love the slapstick moments they had. I mean, just Terry put
there's
his
some
foot
good
in
stuff
it.
in here.
This joint is fire. And like I said, this is 10 plus for us all the way around, right? And here's the other thing. Newsflash, folks. There is nothing else right now on TV in terms of sci-fi TV or streaming services that is better than Star Trek Picard. And
it's not even close.
Here comes the fun part for me, right? Now I get to sit down and watch all 10 episodes, one right after the other.
Yeah, I'm gonna rewatch it too. I'm excited about rewatching it. This is one of those few shows where everybody was happy. People who weren't fans are happy. Fans of Star Trek, the original generation, everybody was happy. That's
Great
so rare
show.
for me to see something like that. Where everybody looked at it, I was like, yes, this is great. We all appreciate it. That's rare.
Totally awesome. Star Trek Picard, the final season. This was the series finale. Episode 10 was called The Last Generation. We gave not only the episode, but the show a 10 plus all the way around. This was a phenomenal show. And I can't wait to see what else is coming up. June 15th, Strange New Worlds is coming out. And then they're talking about doing a movie with Michelle Yeoh with Section 30 called Section 31. And then obviously there's going to be something else that comes along. I think it's called Star Trek Academy. So it's going to be fun just to see what's going on with this. And also Star Trek Discovery is coming out in the summer. That's going to be the series finale as well.
Season. I think they're going to greenlight Enterprise show based off of this, the spinoff.
Enterprise G.
I think that's going to happen. I think they're going to greenlight something off of this because it's well deserved and critically acclaimed across the board. Everybody's happy with this. You'll be a fool not to say, "Hey, let's get some more of this fire in us."
Paramount has to read the tea leaves like online and just see how excited people are, and they really have to say, "Terry, here's the truck. We just backed up the truck. Please come back." You have creative freedom to create the next show with Enterprise G. I think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think so too. I think there's a high. He doesn't think so, but I think so. Fans are going to get this done for him. He's going to be another showrunner again.
I love this, man. Well, there you have it. Another episode of the Behind the Groove podcast. I am Basil Barrington.
And I am DJ Keo.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And until next time, peace.
All right.